Hello, everyone. It is August 4th, 2025, and I want to talk about some interesting tariff related news pertaining to coffee. As you may know, Donald Trump has instituted a 50% tariff on Brazil. The United States actually has a trade surplus with Brazil, so you might think, why is he going after Brazil so hard? And it's because they are prosecuting a former president of Brazil that Trump is, for all kinds of corruption stuff, that Trump is, I guess, a big fan of, and so he's mad at them. And so, in order to adjust their internal criminal prosecutions, he is imposing a 50% tariff on Brazil. Now, you may think, okay, what do I care about Brazil? Well, here's why. Do you drink coffee? Brazil is the single largest importer or exporter of coffee to the United States. Brazil's number one. Colombia is a very close second. They both export over $1 billion a year of coffee, over 250,000 tons. Between the two of them, we're bringing in over 500,000 tons of coffee per year. So if you drink coffee, there is a good chance that you're drinking either Brazilian or Colombian. I believe it's countries like Honduras and Vietnam and one other, and I'm forgetting it, round out the top five. We do produce a small amount of coffee in the United States. We produce a little bit in Hawaii, but by and large, most of the United States has neither the climate nor the right soil for it. So we really cannot produce coffee at scale here in the United States. So we really have no choice but to import it or to just simply not drink it. By the way, Colombia has also been hit with the tariff, so has Vietnam, so has Honduras. So yes, your coffee price is absolutely going up. And because our largest supplier has been hit with the highest tariff, it's going to go up a good amount. Now you may think, well, what if I buy only that Hawaiian coffee? I'm a very precise purchaser. I do not purchase anything foreign made, so it won't affect me. Okay, good theory. But let's think about that for a second. If all of that company's competitors are raising their prices 10%, 15%, 20%, things like that, do you really think that your supplier is going to keep their price the same? You might say, well, sure, they could expand market share. Well, here's the problem. Remember, the United States only produces a tiny amount of coffee. Our domestic growers can't really take over market share from the foreign suppliers because they lack the production capacity. And because it's about climate and soil, there's nothing on earth they can do to change that. The other thing is, it's on the assumption that if their competitors are going up 15 and 20% in prices, that they won't go up 5% or 8% or something like that, which of course they're going to do. They may very well go up the same amount as the major competitors because, well, if their prices are going up 20%, why not raise mine, 17% or 18%? Still be actually a little bit cheaper than theirs, or have at least a smaller price increase, and without having to give up any market share. And I might, if I was able to produce maybe a tad more, I maybe could then sell it that way. I don't know. Again, any increase in production is going to be minuscule if it even happens. But so that's the first thing. So if you're a coffee drinker, get ready, prices are going to go up. Now, they are not going to go up overnight. What we saw with the inflation when Biden was president was, if you were looking at the producer inflation, which I was, it was exploding. But prices initially in the stores only moved up very gradually. And I remember that was when all my Democrat friends were, you were wrong, there's no inflation. And I was like, wait, guys, just hang in there, give it a few months, it's going to take some time, but it's coming. What was happening was that companies basically said, if we shoot up the price too fast, we'll lose market share. So what they did was they began to slowly increase price, and month after month they would increase prices. Usually very small amounts, but it piled up over time. And then even when they, as the producer, when inflation for them began to drop, not go to zero, not suggesting things were getting cheaper for them, but when the rate of increase began to slow, they continued to increase prices at the same rate because they had to retroactively make up for what they hadn't done the first time. So, are coffee prices going up? Yes, absolutely. Are coffee prices going to explode overnight? Probably not. I would guess you'll see a gradual increase over the course of many months. Now, does that mean 8 months? Does that mean 20 months? I don't know. My guess is you're going to see a lot of increases. The other thing you're going to see is shrinkflation. You're going to see I personally don't drink coffee, so I don't really know, but maybe a one of those K-cups, I'm going to just guess here, maybe it contains an ounce of coffee in it, so maybe they'll change it to 0.95 ounces, so you lose a 5/100ths of an ounce. You might not think, okay, well, is that really that big of a deal? How much difference does that make? To you, I don't know. I'm not a coffee drinker. I can't say. But to the company that maybe makes thousands of those per day, and they get to multiply that, 0.5 of an ounce by several thousand per day, day after day, week after week, month after month, yeah, it's going to pile up. So one way or the other, you're going to get less. You're either going to get less or pay more, or some combination of the two. But here's the other interesting bit of coffee-related news. Oh, I'm sorry, two other bits. China has opened up their market to 183 Brazilian exporters. So what they have basically done is they've stepped in and said, hey, Brazil, the United States is tariffing the crap out of your coffee. We're going to open the door to 183 of your exporters, and you can send your coffee directly to China. You don't have to go through a middleman anymore. What this does is this puts further upward pressure on American prices, because now we have to compete with Chinese money. Now, an average American consumer has a lot more money to spend on coffee than an average Chinese consumer, but there are a lot of Chinese consumers. And now these Brazilian exporters have an alternative to the American market. It's probably not as good of an alternative as the American market was pre-Trump, but they still have it. This undoubtedly creates at least some upward pressure on price. How much, I really don't know, but it will drive it up at least some. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, I don't know, but it's going to go up some. Third piece of interesting coffee-related news is Starbucks. Starbucks same-store sales have been decreasing for the last several quarters. Let me run you through the numbers real quick. Starting with quarter 2 of fiscal year 24, same-store sales dropped 4%. Then in quarter 3, 3%. Then in quarter 4, 7%. So down 4%, down 3%, down 7%. Quarter 1 down 4%. Quarter 2 down 1%. Quarter 3, this is fiscal year 25, so the fiscal year ends at the end of September, down 2%. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight quarters of shrinking same-store sales. Now, I'm not a big fan of the theory that Starbucks is a bellwether for the economy, but I'm also not willing to, ignore that. Starbucks has thousands and thousands of stores, literally millions of customers per day. They do billions of dollars of business. There are Starbucks everywhere, malls. They're all by roadsides. I mean, they're everywhere. If Starbucks is shrinking quarter after quarter after quarter, that is bad news for the American consumer. Sorry, let me phrase it. That is bad news about the state of the American consumer. Now, again, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't really know, is Starbucks going downhill because they're doing bad products or they're not keeping their stores clean or something like that? I'm not really sure. But this is still one of the biggest companies in America, and the sheer number of customers they interface with on a daily basis is staggering. And so if they are shrinking 6 straight quarters in a row, that cannot be good for our economy. Now, is it terrible? Is it a sign that we have a huge recession coming? I don't know. Some people certainly argue that yes, it is. Again, this is a little bit outside something I'm comfortable talking too much about, but I am positive it is not a good sign. It is definitely a bad sign. I don't know how bad. Maybe it's a little bad. Maybe it's moderately bad. Maybe it's a lot bad, but it's bad. So, a lot of information on coffee. Coffee prices are going up. Starbucks sales are struggling. And yeah, if you're a coffee drinker, next time you're at the store, if you see a buy one, get one, I'd load up because get it now while it's only going to get more expensive from here. Bye-bye.